What is up? This is Yahoo NBA Live as we get things rolling here on a big Wednesday night slate in the NBA. I'm Pete McCarthy, Matt LaMarca with me. We've got Mike producing. Found out Mike today, big fish guy. Loves fish. You jam band guy, Matt?
As some of our viewers know, I played the saxophone. So a little bit, I can get down with some improv, and I would say more jazz than jam band, but that's kind of up my alley.
Have you done any 13-day in a row concert tours, or one place for 13 days in a row?
No, that is something I have never done. I've never done like a festival or, traveled with a band, nothing like that.
Mike's got his feet, man. I can't even go to a city for a long weekend before I shut it down on Monday. I don't know how you do 2 straight weeks of
I don't like to leave my couch
concerts
for more than a couple hours at a time.
Yeah, good point. And nobody's gonna be leaving the house tonight if you're playing NBA DFS. We got 12 games slate. I mean, it's gonna get a little wild over the course of this night. So we'll be breaking that down for you. You have any questions, make sure to get in the chat here on YouTube. Give us a like, subscribe, keep up with all of our shows here at Awesemo DFS. We've got DFS offers, giveaways for you. And once you do subscribe, hit that notification button and you get alerts when our shows go live. Be sure to also check out today's free premium tools and data, which are NBA main slate ownership projections, NHL top stacks, and PGA golfer rankings, as well as our podcast giveaway. Just head to our Awesemo podcast channel below. Give us a 5-star review with your Twitter handle or Awesemo username included, and you'll be entered to win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Also, we're excited to announce our new props betting show, Locks Before Locks, which we have added to our daily schedule. They'll be starting up at 4:15 Eastern time today, right before the NBA Deeper Dive. So you can head over to the Odds Shopper YouTube channel for the best edges available on NBA player props straight from our experts. Big picture, I mean, it's a monster slate here, man. How do you handle things? How do you make sense of everything when we have as many variables and players and quantity and the whole 9 yards that we have going into tonight?
Well, I think that this is a great night to utilize some of our tools. I think the boom bust tool in particular is going to be really helpful tonight. When you have so many options to consider, you want to try and find those low owned tournament guys who are going to pop. And I think you just need to give yourself the best chance by, using the leverage scores, using some of the boom ratings and things like that. Try and take a stab on some of these low ownership guys with upside, and hope that, things break in your favor. On a 12-game slate, it's not possible for everybody to cover everyone. So there are going to be players that slip through the cracks. So trying to find those players and just give yourself outs to win, I think is the right way to do it. Make sure to stay up to date on the news, be active with your late swaps. And, again, just hope. It's going to take luck, right? It always takes luck. But if you can put yourself in a position to maximize your return on nights where you get lucky, then you're doing things the right way.
Tonight's a good night to get lucky with everything we're going to have going on. We'll be looking at some of these variables and some things you'll be wanting to keep an eye on over the course of the next few hours here. And then, of course, Deeper Dive and Live Before Lock will have those last minute news, how it affects everything for you as the day goes along. But let's broad overview. We'll start at the point guard position. Of course, you got Luka Doncic up at the top. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander up to $44 on Yahoo now. And you go all the way to that mid tier where Russell Westbrook, not Westbrook, $29 where he is sitting at.
Don't besmirch his family name now, Pete.
I'm not. I said don't call him that. I said don't. You see how I did that? I just kind of slide it in. But what we're looking at the point guard position is, I guess we'll start at the top tier and work our way down.
Yeah, I think Shai Gilgeous is still underpriced at $44 on Yahoo. He has just been absolutely rolling recently, and with no Lou Dort, with no Josh Giddey, he's going to have to continue to kind of do everything for the Thunder. The Timberwolves are a great matchup. They've been playing incredibly fast of late. So I think he's underpriced at $44 here. You do have to worry about the blowout concerns. That's kind of a nightly thing now with the Thunder. They're 15-point underdogs or so in this spot, but they've been massive underdogs a lot recently, and it hasn't really stopped SGA from getting his. So I think if you're paying up, he is the way to go. That said, it's going to be hard for me to avoid Cam Payne at $20, assuming that Devin Booker is out again. There's a chance that Booker clears protocols and he is able to return to the lineup tonight. But if he's out, Cameron Payne he's just too cheap to ignore, right? His price has come up $20. Maybe that feels like it's a reasonable price tag, but it is absolutely not. It's still way too cheap. Since this guy has returned to the lineup 4 games ago, he's averaging 1.27 Yahoo points per minute, running the show there for Phoenix with no Booker, with no Chris Paul. He scored at least 37.4 in 3 straight games. He deserves to be priced, upwards of, I would say $30, $35 even. In today's Slate Starter article, Cam Payne over, since this past stretch that he's been on without Booker and without Paul, he's averaging more fantasy points per minute than guys like Jason Tatum have for the entire season. So if Jason Tatum is going to be, one of the most expensive players at his position, I feel like Cam Payne probably deserves to be getting that treatment too.
Well, running back to what we were talking about at the start, right? You want to find some different ways to go, perhaps. Look, the secret's out on campaign. I mean, he's going to get a ton of ownership tonight. We're going to see that, but it's not as if there's another $20 point guard with a comparable projection score. So it's kind of hard to get away from him, even if the ownership is going to be about 35% is what the estimate is right now.
Yeah. And, there are spots where I still think eating the chalk is good in tournaments, right? And for me, campaign is good chalk right now because, like you said, there's no obvious pivot away from him. He just stands out as in my eyes, the best points per dollar option at the position. I think if you do want to go, if you like Mike Conley is somebody that I would normally like at $20, but it's just hard to pay $20 for Mike Conley when Cameron Payne has so much more upside at the same exact price tag.
How about, I see Russell Westbrook, Reggie Jackson, both sitting there at $29. The Boom Bust tool likes both of these guys, actually projects, Awesemo's projections are Westbrook higher than Jackson right now. What do you make of that spot if there is another place to go at the point guard position?
Yeah, Westbrook's interesting because of the matchup, right? Taking on Houston. They are dead last in defensive efficiency. They're third in pace this season. The Lakers are implied for nearly 120 points in this matchup. So pretty sizable increase compared to their regular season average. Westbrook is not having the year that he would have hoped for, that Lakers fans would have hoped for. But he can still pile up the peripheral stats, right? He can get boards. He can hand out assists. He's just not shooting the ball well, right? So he can still score fantasy points without shooting the ball particularly well. I think 29 is fair for him, but I also don't think he's the same player, obviously, right? We kind of have to lower our expectations for what we think Russell Westbrook can do. I think the days of him having, nightly triple double upside are not there. So I'm not all that interested in Westbrook, but I have to admit that it's a interesting price tag, at least in a great matchup.
No, it feels strange. You're talking about Russell Westbrook at $29.
Yeah.
Now, it's not the expectation, obviously, coming into this season or at any point throughout his career. The projection's not bad tonight with the matchup in Houston. And hey, at least he's out of Los Angeles. Doesn't have to hear the Boo Birds and the West Brick and all that kind of stuff when he's in Houston, except from the Rocket fans. Maybe doesn't hurt as much. It's the road fans getting on you. But there you go. Point guard position. So what we're looking at there. Anyone else you want to touch on, or Cameron Payne? That's your number one.
CJ McCollum, I'm going to throw him out there too. If Brandon Ingram is out, that's one of the, many pieces of news that we're going to be monitoring today. He has been by far the biggest beneficiary during his limited tenure with the Pelicans, with Ingram off the court this season. He was dominant without Ingram in their last game. He racked up almost 53 Yahoo points in less than 31 and a half minutes. Good matchup here versus Orlando. So if Ingram is out, I think McCollum at $35 becomes very appealing.
All right, so keep an eye on CJ McCollum as well. Of course, get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there with an Awesemo Plus weekly pass at $29.95. This will give you full access to all the premium content and tools on Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections. We've been talking about the Boom Bust tool, lineup builders, so pivotal and like a 12-game slate like tonight, and much more. And of course, if you're only looking to play NBA DFS, you could sign up for one of our Awesemo Plus NBA packages for as low as $4.95 weekly. Please note that Fantasy Cruncher is an add-on and can easily be added on with these packages at checkout, but it's not included in our base packages. However, it is a very valuable addition to your DFS arsenal for those looking to multi-enter contests. Stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today. Even with 12 games, the shooting guard position is not looking too hot tonight. Devin Booker might be able to play, as you mentioned, but it's not cleared protocols as of yet. You've got Donovan Mitchell. If Booker's not able to go at the top of the class, $36, projected for about 40 points. Jaylen Brown of the Celtics. Terry Rozier has been hot for the Hornets. Where are you looking at the shooting guard position?
Yeah, Brown is the guy that we have projected for the most ownership right now, and it's pretty easy to see why. $29 is just a very cheap price tag for him. I doubt we've seen him, sub $30 very often this season. And then, now you look at a great matchup versus the Hornets, who have been the second fastest team in basketball this season. So a nice spot to sort of look at him, but I don't know if I'm all that interested at 32.5, 33% ownership, which is what we have him projected for at the moment. To me, shooting guard looks like a position to spend down at. There are some nice value options to consider. I think Malik Monk at $18 is my favorite. He's kind of become the number 2 option for the Lakers, just like we all thought, right? The big three of Malik Monk, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis.
He's gonna be more expensive than Russ soon.
Yeah, and he probably deserves to be, if we're being honest. 36 FanDuel points or more in back-to-back games. He's playing big minutes. He had 22 shot attempts in his last game. Benefits from the same matchup as Russ against the Rockets. So I think 18 again is a very nice price tag to consider him.
All right. Anybody else down in the value territory, or you want to touch on Donovan Mitchell, kind of at the top at shooting guard? It's not the position we have to spend a whole lot of time on here today looking at it.
Yeah, you can definitely get away with a min-priced player here. We have Grayson Allen right now projected as the best pure value at the position. He's priced at the absolute minimum. He is another guy who is questionable at the moment, but if he can suit up, should be looking at a few additional minutes given the Bucks injury situation at the moment. He's played at least 31 minutes in each of his last 2 games. So he would be somebody that I would expect to return value at a minimum salary if he's in the lineup.
All right. And as you guys might have heard by now, we have partnered up with Yahoo Fantasy this NBA season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Now, to qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo. Sign up for an account via the link below, deposit, and play. Yahoo will send us your name after you play in your first paid contest. We'll reach out via email with your coupon. And if you'd like to speed up the process of getting access, you can email support@awesemo.com, and we'll get you all set up there. You can also claim a free $10 of site credit by clicking the link in the video description below, which can be used to enter any Yahoo contest, including tonight's NBA $20,000 baller. Make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. Another Laker starts us off at small forward, LeBron James, the highest projected player on the board today. You can understand why, going up against that Houston team that loves to fly up and down the floor, doesn't play any defense. So how difficult is it to get away from LeBron James tonight as that number 1 guy on your team, most expensive guy on your team?
I think he's a very reasonable option to sort of anchor your teams here. He's cheaper than some of the other, super studs that we're looking at, the Lukas, the Giannis's, the Nikola Jokic's. But I think LeBron has that kind of upside in this matchup with Anthony Davis sidelined. He's been really good this year in games without Anthony Davis. I want to say he's up to about 1.5 Yahoo points per minute in that ballpark. The matchup again is great, and he's coming off of one of the best performances he's had all season in his last game against the Warriors. 44% usage rate, finished with 56 points and 10 rebounds, got up to 71.5 Yahoo points. Another player who's questionable. So he did sit in their last game. LeBron having a questionable designation is nothing new. He's been questionable for most of the season, but he did miss their last game. So it's something we have to take a little bit more seriously than we have in the past.
It's like Tom Brady. He's always on the injury report, no matter what's happening all his years in New England. But LeBron generally finds a way to play. This will be something to keep an eye on, as you mentioned. What about, I thought it was interesting. He was kind of talking after last game, or I think on one of his shows, he was talking about how people don't look at him as a scorer. They don't talk about his scoring ability. He goes out and scores 56, like right afterwards. He's got to prove a point. That's got to make you feel pretty good going into a night like tonight if he wants to try to go on one of these rolls or put up some 40+ point games here.
Some of these chips that these guys design and place on their shoulders, Absolutely ridiculous. Anybody who's questioning LeBron James's credentials as a scorer, I'd like to meet those people. I don't know where they are. I mean, is he the same caliber of shooter as, a Kevin Durant? No, he's not. But if LeBron wanted to lead the league in scoring, he could. Nobody doubts that. I don't know where LeBron's getting this information.
It's really just the comparison to Michael.
So, you know what? They're different players. Whatever. LeBron, you're the greatest. If you wanted to lead the league in scoring, you could. We know it. Maybe focus on getting this team into the playoffs.
What's your LeBron James voice that Steven's mentioning in chat?
LeBron James what?
Voice?
Oh, LeBron James.
Let's play him. Have that in your head as you click the LeBron James ad button on Yahoo tonight. Small forward Jason Tatum at the big game this weekend against the Brooklyn Nets. We're also looking at Anthony Edwards. You mentioned the Timberwolves, but playing very quickly, very fast of late. Edwards is someone that is very much liked by the boom bust tool and certainly a boom bust candidate in general. And you have some value options at small forward as well.
Yeah, Edwards at $25 is that's like just way too cheap of a price tag. Very similar type of play to Jaylen Brown today, but again, questionable. Hasn't played in the last 4 games. I don't know if I necessarily want to take the plunge on him on a 12-game slate at 30% ownership. If he even plays, I don't see any incentive for the Timberwolves to play Anthony Edwards against the Thunder as 15-point favorites. So my guess is he sits, but if he is in the lineup, certainly you can't go, I can't argue too hard against a $25 Anthony Edwards, but I think the ownership pushes me towards other directions.
I was looking at Marcus Morris Sr., Marvin Bagley Jr. They're both $16. They're both projected for almost identical amounts of points, but Bagley is generating a lot more ownership than Marcus Morris, and one of those pivot spots you could try to find on a night like tonight.
Well, Bagley is a power forward, so I'm gonna save him till then. But Marcus Morris, the Clippers are just a very interesting team at the moment. They're another team. Big shocker here. Another team we're waiting on a piece of news, right? They were without Robert Covington in their last game, and while that might not sound like a huge deal, when you factor in that this team is already down Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and Norman Powell, losing Robert Covington does open up a few additional minutes for the rest of the roster. So Marcus Morris at $16, I'll pass on that because I think Amir Coffey at 10 is the better play. Right? We're getting Coffey at lower ownership. He's playing more minutes than Marcus Morris of late. He's not the same offensive threat, not the same per minute fantasy producer, but I'll take the discount on 2 guys that I think are projected relatively similarly. And right now we have Coffey in our NBA projections. He's grading out as the best value at the position. So if you're going to play a Clippers wing, I think he's the way to go.
You got a lot of options at small forward. You go to the top with LeBron, you can get Amir Coffey all the way down at the bottom minimum. So a couple of different directions to go as you try to hit the Awesemo Hall of Fame tonight. And we're rooting for you to get into that Hall of Fame, to have the big night. If you're not aware of the Hall of Fame, you can download the Awesemo avatar from awesemo.com/avatar. And then you just got to have a big night, place top 3 in a contest with over 5,000 contestants. As if that's not good enough, you tweet the @Awesemo Hall of Fame account and you win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. I've always said you should have to give a speech, Hall of Fame speech. We should make that available, put your creativity to work. But if you're not a big talker, that's fine too. You get yourself the free month. So make sure you have that Awesemo avatar as part of playing on all your different platforms, and you have that big night. You're not only cashing in big, you get yourself a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. One note, you can only win 1 free month once per calendar year. That's pretty good. If you're winning multiple times.
You can only enter the Hall of Fame once.
well, per calendar year. It's pretty generous if you think about it. It should just be once in a lifetime, but good people here. Good people. All right, power forward. Giannis, $57. You jumping on the bandwagon here?
Yeah, always with Giannis. Giannis isn't every slate kind of guy for me. The thing that I like about Giannis here is this game is projected to be high scoring. It's projected to be close, right? You look at the spread, the Bucks are listed as roughly 5-point home favorites, 4.5 now. And the total on this game is 239.5. That's tied for the highest mark on the slate. The only question with Giannis is minutes. It's always minutes. In nights when he plays 34 minutes or more, he's averaging over 60 fantasy points. When he sees less than that, he's scoring less. And the big difference with Giannis and some of these other superstars in the league is that Giannis's minutes are volatile. You know, Mike Budenholzer in blowout games, he is quick to get his stars off the floor. So in a game like tonight, which we're expecting to be high scoring and close, you would think it's more likely for Giannis to get to that minute plateau, that 34 plus minutes that we're looking for. And if that's the case, he is going to destroy this Hawks team. Giannis has averaged 1.81 fantasy points per minute over the past month. Atlanta is, I want to say 26th in defensive efficiency this year. The Bucks have the second highest implied team total on the slate. He's a great play. I love Giannis.
Well, give me this. It's the second game of back-to-back for Giannis. Played in Oklahoma City last night. Going to be playing in Milwaukee tonight. The advantage is he only played 27 plus minutes last night. Even if you go back to the game against the Suns this weekend, only played 31 minutes in that game. So it's not as if he's been overused, but it is the second game of back-to-back. Give you any pause?
No pause. That game against the Thunder was basically like a scrimmage for the Bucks. Like they might as well have put the non-contact jerseys on. It was just some cardiovascular exercise. I expect them to be quite fresh for this contest.
Like getting on the exercise bike and 140 plus points last night for Milwaukee. Elsewhere at this power forward position, Julius Randle, $37 coming off career high. I think it was 46 points for the Knicks in his last game. Not sure we expect him to do that again. Where else are we looking at power forward?
I will be 100% not playing Julius Randle. No disrespect to Julius, but disrespect. I don't like him. Marvin Bagley, 16. We talked about him earlier briefly. A guy that I feel bad for, right? He's going to go down as this generation's Sam Bowie. It's not his fault. He was drafted ahead of Luka Doncic and Trae Young. Things didn't work out for him in Sacramento, but he has kind of gotten a bit of new life here with the Pistons. He's averaging 1.05 Yahoo points per minute over the past month, coming off 36 minutes in their last game, put up 40.5 fantasy points. So again, he kind of falls into that good chalk category for me. I think he's a player that you're going to want to have some exposure to even at high ownership. I will be overweight. We haven't projected for 31%. I believe I'll be overweight on that. But again, not a guy that you want to have none of. So if you are a little bit skeptical of him, I would recommend still having, 10, 15% of Marvin Bagley at a minimum.
Good chalk to eat, like that Cameron Payne chalk. I'm thinking like the stick on a Fun Dip. That's like good chalk to eat.
I had to eat chalk in chemistry class for extra credit.
You're not the only one I've seen eat chalk around here. I think Eric Lindquist said, did you ever have the candy Fun Dip?
Sure. Yeah. Just pure
like
sugar on a stick, also made of sugar.
Yes, but the stick was good. It looked like chalk, but it tasted good. It's like Fun Dip chalk is what we're looking at in Bagley and Payne. All right, center position, Nikola Jokic, $56. I mean, you got a lot of the big names here. We talked about Giannis, Luka, LeBron. You got Nikola here at $56. Might be a little tough to get to at that price tag, but you tell me. And plenty of options at the center position.
Yeah, and another guy that has a great matchup against the Kings. The Kings have been just a fantasy gold mine all season. Oh, nice picture there of eating chalk. Thanks to producer Mike. Jokic against the Kings just should absolutely body them. Has put himself firmly back into the MVP race. It kind of looked like Embiid was pulling away for a little bit, but back-to-back triple doubles for Jokic, including A 46-point triple-double versus the Pelicans two games ago. He's amazing at basketball, right? He probably is underrated for a guy that might go back to back in the MVP department. I think that, he's a guy you want to have exposure to tonight. Separating him and Giannis and LeBron is difficult. So my recommendation is play all of them.
Just mix it up. Can't do it in the same lineup, but this is why you do multiple lineups and you get a little taste of everybody.
Yeah, I mean, and you probably could play two in the same lineup if you want to go real stars and scrubsy. I also have to throw a shout out to Karl Anthony Towns, who is at $45. So a nice bit of savings when compared to Jokic. And again, if no Anthony Edwards and no D'Angelo Russell, who's also questionable, then Towns becomes arguably a better play on a points per dollar basis. He's gotten his fantasy production up to about 1.6 fantasy points per minute in games without Anthony Edwards this season. And last game, which was his first game without Edwards and Russell, he averaged over 2 fantasy points per minute. So again, the Timberwolves have the highest implied team total on the slate. They're a team with a great matchup against the Thunder, right? The Thunder have ranked 4th in pace over their past 10 games. So 2 fast-paced teams here going at it. If the Timberwolves are shorthanded again, I think Towns at $45 vaults into that top overall stud spot for me on this slate.
And the boom bust tool, I see, really likes Pascal Siakam of the Raptors. Fred VanVleet is questionable for tonight, so I'm sure that'll play into how that works out.
Yeah, the spiciest of all peas. It's hard to argue against any of these Toronto starters. They all play like roughly 40 minutes a night. Nick Nurse just does not care, and he is doing everything that he can to get this Toronto team into the playoffs. 3 straight games now with at least 40 and a half minutes for Siakam. So $35 is certainly a fair price tag. If you're looking to go value at the position, I think Drew Eubanks at $11 makes sense. Coming off a poor showing in his last game, but he still played 28 and a half minutes. That's a really nice handful of playing time for a min-priced center or close to a min-priced center. And then Kelly Olynyk, I think, is also interesting at $12. Not nearly the same playing time upside as Eubanks, but really effective on a per minute basis. So two cheap guys if you want to go that route.
All right. So it's a busy night tonight. You got 12 games. Surely some surprises ahead as the day goes along. And right before lock, probably, because that's how these things go. So be sure to be locked into all of our content throughout the day. We'll have Jock Market's NBA show coming up at the top of the hour. Then locks before lock at 4:15 Eastern time, followed by the NBA Deeper Dive at 4:45 Eastern. And that'll roll right into live before lock. But a little taster, a little appetizer for your day, and some good info if you're playing
boosh, if you
on
will.
Yahoo today. What's that?
An amuse-bouche.
What is that?
It's it's supposed to just awaken the palate.
Oh, okay. Like a sherbet? Well, that clears the palate.
No, that clears. Yeah, it's the opposite of a sherbet.
Oh, okay. The opposite of a sherbet. I'm not good with palate stuff. I gotta work on.
You gotta eat more is the answer.
Amuse bouche. Gotta work on this.
It's French.
All right, this has been Yahoo NBA Live. Appreciate you guys getting involved in the chat. Be sure to stay tuned to the channel throughout the day. Matt LaMarca getting it done. I'm Pete McCarthy. Take care, guys. Come to Jam Band.